Recording in progress.
Hi guys, good evening. In the last class, we discussed what are the REST architecture principles. REST stands for Representation State Transfer. When we are developing the REST API, we need to follow client-server architecture. And in the REST API, we should not implement any session management. Every request should be considered as a first request. And unique addressability. Every method in the REST API should have the unique URL pattern and map the REST API endpoints to HTTP methods. And your REST API method should support for multiple formats. Clients should be able to access the data as per their requirement. Okay, guys. Now, here, next one. We need to follow ATOs. What is the meaning of ATOs? Guys, can you tell me what is the meaning of ATOs? Any idea? What is the idea? Any idea? Come on, guys. ATOs, hyperlinks, right? Providing the response along with the hyperlinks. Now, you can also search what is ATOs. What is ATOs in Spring Boot? An introduction to ATOs and building hypermedia-driven RESTful web service. The official documentation is available regarding this ATOs. Building hypermedia-driven RESTful service. Now, so here we are sending some response to the client. Along with the response, we are going to send one link as a hypermedia. Okay, guys. Now, hypermedia is an important aspect of the REST. It lets you build services that decouple client and server to a large extent and let them evolve independently. So here, not only contain the data, but also links to related resources. Thus, the design of the representation is crucial for the design of the overall service. Whenever we are developing any application, our application will give some data as a response. For the related data, our application will provide hyperlink in the response. Suppose we are sending a request and getting the hello world as a response. If you want to send your name, then you can use the another URL. So here we are sending a request. And for that request, you can send some other data as input. The related link we are going to provide. So like this now, for example, you will send a request to get one customer record. So what is the link to get all the customers? That we will give as a hyperlink. So to get one customer, we are giving the link. You are sending a request to get one customer data. In that customer data response, I will give the link to get all the customers also. Like this, we are going to design our service with ATOs. So ATOs, hypermedia is the most important part. Then we are going to represent. Hypermedia as the engine of application state is the constraint of REST application architecture that distinguish it from other network application architectures. Now, so we are sending a request and we are getting the response. In the response, we are getting some hyperlinks also to get the related information. ATOs stands for hypermedia as the engine for application state. Hypermedia as engine to represent application state. ATOs. Hypermedia as the application state. Hypermedia as the engine of application state. So ATOs principle is used to send the response along with the related hyperlinks in the response. So what is this ATOs? ATOs is one of the REST architecture principle. It is one of the REST architecture principle. It is one of the REST architecture principle. It is used to send a response. It is used to send response along with hyperlinks along with the hyperlinks for related data. Along with the hyperlinks for related data. Example, you send a request and you got the response like this. ID is there. You got the ID as a 101 and you got the name. The name is John. Customer name is John. And customer email is available. Customer email is available, john@gmail.com. Along with this data, we are going to give some links also. Along with this data, we are going to give you some links also. So if you want to get all the customers' data in our application, then you can access below link. Like this, we are going to give a link URL for you. In this URL, what I will give is http://localhost:8080/customers. So you send a request for getting one customer data. I'm giving that customer data as a response. Along with that, I'm giving you one hyperlink to get all the customers. So like this, in the Hetios, our REST API will provide the response to the client. Along with that response, it will provide some hyperlink also to get the related data. You send a request to get one customer record. For example, you are sending a request for this. http://localhost:8080/customers/101. So this is the request you are sending. For this URL, you are sending a request. Along with the response of that customer ID, I'm giving you one hyperlink to get all the customers also. So like this, we are going to build the response in the hypermedia format. To send the response along with the hypermedia links, we are going to use Hetios. So to develop REST API with Hetios, Spring Boot provided Hetios Starter. So in Spring Boot, we have Hetios Starter. In Spring Boot, we have Hetios Starter. Hetios Starter to develop REST API with a Hetios concept. If you want to develop one REST API with the Hetios concept, in the Spring Boot, we are having a Hetios Starter. Now let me create one simple Spring Boot application. File, new Spring Starter project. So in this Spring Starter project, I'm giving the name as 30th Spring Boot REST Hetios. Right? I'm taking the project with the Hetios name. Maven project jar Java 8. Click on next. Here I'm taking web dependency, DevTools dependency, Lombok dependency. Along with this, I'm going to take another one called Hetios. Spring Hetios concept is available. Easiest the creation of REST APIs that follow the Hetios principle when working with Spring or Spring Web MVC. So if you want to build your REST API response in the hypermedia format, then you need to take a Hetios Starter. So click on finish. Now, so here we are having a project which is having Hetios Starter. Close the unrelated projects in that. Now go to our application. So this is my project. In this project, if you see, there is a pom.xml. In that pom.xml, I'm configuring the dependencies that are required for our application. So we have configured Spring Web Starter to develop a REST API with WebMVC. And we are configuring Hetios Starter. First time we are adding Hetios dependency and DevTools dependency, Lombok dependency, test dependency. Perfect. Now here, to build this REST API, I'm going to take one class, new class as one binding class. So I'm taking one class with a name called user. In this user class, I will take few variables, right? Private integer ID, private string name, private string some email. Now I want to represent this as a binding class. So I want setters, getters for these variables. So I'm writing annotation @ data. So when I write a annotation @ data, Lombok annotation we are getting. For this, I'm going for all arcs constructor and I will go for no arcs constructor. Now go to this documentation. What Spring is telling, spring.io website official documentation. They gave the example to build a REST API with a hypermedia format. So now what you will build? We are going to build a Spring Boot application. Okay, guys. So include the library in the Maven pom.xml. They are saying that Java version, Spring Boot starter, Hetios dependency they are adding. Then we want to create one project. I want to get the response something like this. Okay. So now this is greeting extends representational model. So whatever the binding class you are creating, your binding class should extend the properties. Your binding class should extend the properties from here representational model. What is this representational model? Representational model is a predefined class available in the Hetios package. Okay. Whatever the binding class that we are creating, our binding class should extend the properties from representational model that is available in the Hetios. Extends from representational model. What is the class that we are using here? Representational model that I'm preferring user. My user class should refer this representational model at the rate data. All right, perfect. So I have created one binding class which is having representational model. Then after here, we are going to create a REST controller. In this REST controller, I want to return my response. So when I'm returning the response here, we are going to take user.add link to a method on greeting with the self relation, return the response entity, greeting some status.ok. So they're giving some logic. They're giving some logic in order to represent the response in the hypermedia format. Now let me go here and let me create one REST controller, user REST controller, new class. I'm keeping that package as a REST. Then go for user REST controller. Now, to make this class as a REST controller, I'm using one annotation called @REST controller annotation. In this class, I need to write a method which is mapped to a GET request. Okay. So in this class, I'm creating one method, public response entity of user get user. Right? I'm creating user class which is used to get the user data. Let me create the user object. User is equal to new user. I will go for this arg constructor. ID is 101. Name is some John. And email is john@gmail.com. Some dummy value I have given. Up to this, we are good. Now let me map this method to a GET request, get mapping /user. I'm creating one REST controller. In that REST controller, I have created one method. That method I have binded to GET request and I'm giving URL pattern. And I have created user object by using parameterized constructor. I have taken all args constructor here and I'm storing some data. Now, if I return only entity object, then what will happen? See here, I can do like this. Return new response entity of user comma http status dot okay. So if I do like this, just user record will be returned in the JSON format. Let me run my application. Currently, I'm not building any link here, guys. So just refresh our application, run as boot application. So what is the response? Normal response I want to show you now. What is the normal response our application will provide for us? Clear the console. Clear that. Go to browser. Localhost colon 8080/user. Localhost colon 8080/user. So when I send the request for this, am I getting the response in the hypermedia format? I'm getting a normal JSON response. Guys, Are we getting any response in the hypermedia format, or we are getting a normal response? Normal response. We are getting a normal response. Let us go to our Postman to see the response clearly with the proper format. Let me open my Postman. I will send the same request from the Postman and I will show you what is the response given by our REST controller. Localhost :8080/user. Send. Now what happened? Normal JSON response is coming from this method. Okay. Is there any output? Is there any information related to Hetios in the response? Are we getting any hyperlinks in the response? Are we getting any hyperlinks in the response? We are not getting any hyperlinks in the response. Able to follow me? We are not getting any hyperlinks in the response. Now, I need to build a response with some hyperlinks. How to do that? Go to the documentation. Now you see what these people are doing here. Now, for our entity, they are calling one method called add method, link to method on class dot greeting dot name, whatever the name that we want to pass, and with the self relation link. So this is a single line of code that they are calling to build a link on our object. Now here greeting dot add. Greeting is their binding class. Now my binding class is user. I will go for user dot link dot user dot add link to. Here my class is user REST controller dot class dot what is the method dot get user. My method is dot get user. Method on. This method on is not coming here. User dot add link to method on. Method on, what they are taking as a method on. WebMVC link builder package they are importing. Right, method on is gone. Method on dot class get user with a self relation link. I have added one line of code here, guys. So earlier this line was not available. Now I have added this line. So what I am doing here is whatever the method is available in the user REST controller get user method, for that method create a self relation link and add that link to user object. What is this add method? This add method is coming from representational model. Representational model is the base class to create the links for our binding classes. Representational model is a base class to create the links for our binding classes. Okay. Base class for DTOs to collect the links. Representational model class that we are using. Now, in my REST controller, if I remove this line of code, I will get the response as a normal JSON. Now, along with my normal user response, I want to send hyperlinks also. For that, in my binding class, I am extending the properties from representation model. It is a predefined class in the Hetios package. Then user.add. For the user class, I want to add a link. That link should be there on which method? That link should be there on the method which is belongs to this class with a self relation link. Okay. Now close this, refresh and send the request. Wow. Now can you see here? Are we able to send the response, user response along with the self hyperlink? Are we able to get the response? User earlier, when I don't have that line of code, I was getting normal user response in the JSON. Now I want to build a hyperlink for that. For which method you want to build the hyperlink? For that, you can build the link like this. User.add link to method on user REST controller dot get user dot with a self relation link that we are creating. Are you clear? Are we able to get the response along with the hyperlink? Yeah. This kind of response is called as Hetios response. Are you clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? This kind of response is called as Hetios response. So to build our application with the HTOs, we need to add one dependency in our pom.xml. What is the dependency we are adding in the pom.xml? The dependency that we are adding in the pom.xml is Spring Boot starter HTOs. Okay. So here in Spring Boot, we have HTOs starter to develop REST API with the HTOs concept. Okay. So here the application that I have created, I'm creating one class with a name called user. For the user class, I'm extending the properties from representation model. That is a predefined class in the HTOs package. That class will provide the support to build hyperlinks in our binding class. Okay. So this is my REST controller. Here, this package is also important, guys. WebMVC link builder. So that class I'm giving. That's it. A simple class which is sending a response with the user data and a hyperlink. Okay. So in your controller, if multiple methods are available, for which method you want to add the link, that method name you can call so that the links will be added to that method. Now, if you go for a data REST, do I need to do all these things? If I go for a data REST, guys, if I go for a data REST, do I need to do these things or it is inbuilt in the data REST? Do I need to do all these things in the data REST or it is inbuilt in the data REST? It is inbuilt in the data REST. We no need to do all these things. It is inbuilt functionality in the data REST concept. Clear? So with this, you understand what are the REST architecture principle. So with this, guys, we completed our discussion related to RESTful services. We understood what is distributed application. So the application which is communicating with the other applications, the application which is communicating with the other application, the application which is communicating with other application is called as distributed application. So to develop distributed applications, there are several technologies are available like Corba, RMI, EJB earlier, but currently people are going with the REST API. So RESTful services are used to develop the distributed application. One application can connect with the another application. We understood REST architecture. Client will be available and the server will be available. Client nothing but the application which is accessing services from the other application. Server means which is providing the services. When we are working with the applications, we will deal with XML data and JSON data. To deal with XML data, JAX-B will be used. To deal with the JSON data, Jackson will be used. And we are having HTTP protocol, methods and status code. Architecture principles are available. We have discussed it yesterday. API development, we have developed a provider and we hosted the provider in the AWS. In the provider, REST controller will be available. In that, we can have multiple methods. So for the REST API, if it is a GET request, we can send the data in the query parameter as well as in the path parameter. So if it is a POST request, we will get the data in the request body and we can send the data in the response body. So to take the input request body, to send the output response body. And we can do the REST API testing by using Postman. Postman is one of the tools that is used to test our REST API. Swagger, that is used for documentation purpose. So we discussed when we develop a provider, other applications should be able to access our application. Other applications should be able to access our application. Okay, guys. So for that, we need to provide our application details for them. That's where we are going to use Swagger. And we have seen client development. Client can be developed in two ways, right? One is by using REST template. Another one is by using web client. REST template is outdated class because it supports only synchronous communication. As an alternate for the web client, as an alternate for REST template, we got web client. Web client supports both the synchronous communication and asynchronous communication. And we discussed how to handle exceptions in the REST API. So exception handling part we have discussed. So exceptions can be handled in two ways. One is local exception handling and another one is global exception handling. So whatever we planned for the RESTful services in our content, did we cover everything here? Whatever I mentioned in the REST API? Correct. Put request and delete request. So if you have, I will come to that point. So here guys, I'm having a get method, right? Similarly, I want to update a record which is available in the table. Then the method which is responsible to update the record, for that method you will write put mapping. In the data rest, I explained put mapping and delete mapping. So when you want to send a put request, you will select the put here, you will send the request. Put request is used for updating the data. When you have the functionality to delete the record from the table, that method will be mapped to delete request by using delete mapping annotation. Okay. In the interview, suppose for example, here I'm having a method. I'm having a method. Now this method is update user and I'm expecting user data as an input. Okay. So to take the data, I'm going to take one annotation called request body. Request body. So here I'm going to write some logic to update user data. So the method which is responsible to update the user data, for that we are going to write one annotation called put mapping. So like this. If your method is responsible to give the data to the client, then we will go for get mapping. If your method is responsible to update the user, then we will go for put mapping. Suppose if your method is responsible to insert the data, create user, then I will go for a method called post mapping. I will go for a method called post mapping. Post mapping that is used to, post mapping is used to insert the record. Put mapping is used to update the record. Similarly, I want to go for delete. I want to delete one record. For that, I need user ID. Okay, integer user ID. How I will take that user ID? I will take this as a path variable. ID. ID I'm going to take as a path variable. How to read that path variable? By using path variable annotation. Okay, guys. Now here I'm going to write the logic to insert user data and logic to update, logic to delete user data, logic to delete the user data. Here I will give string message deleted. Like this, we can write the methods to perform our operations in the REST API. So you understand that when your method is responsible to give the data to the client, then client will send a get request. When your method is responsible to insert the record, then client will send a post request. When your method is responsible to update the record, then client will send put request. If your method is responsible to delete the record, then it will be mapped to delete request. So to delete the method to a delete request, we need to use an annotation called delete mapping. So here I'm going to use delete user. So the method which is responsible to delete the record, I'm using delete mapping. The method which is responsible to update the data, put mapping. The method which is responsible to insert, post mapping. The method which is responsible to get the data, get mapping. So like this, based on the requirement, we are going to map our methods to this. In the interview, they will ask you a question like this. My method is responsible to insert the record, but I am mapping that method to put mapping. What will happen? My method is responsible to insert the data, but I am writing put mapping for that. What will happen? Okay, guys, what will happen? Actually, I need to use post mapping, but I'm using put mapping for the method which is going to insert the data. Then what will happen? Guys? Application will work as expected or not? Yes, application will work. There is no problem, but it is not recommended to write like this. This is not the universal standard. What is the universal standard for the put request? The universal standard for the put request is for updating. But what you are doing inside the method, you are doing insertion. So you are giving wrong information to your clients. Whenever your method is responsible to insert the data, you should map that method to post mapping. The method is used to insert, but you are mapping to put. Nothing will happen. If they send you a put request, record will be inserted. But clients will get confused. Clients are from other company. What is the universal meaning of the put mapping? Universal meaning of the put mapping is updating the data. But what your method is doing? Inserting the data. So it is contradiction. It is confusing your client. Operation will happen. If you send a put request, then it will insert the record. But what is the universal meaning of the put? Update. But what your method is doing? Insertion. So it is valid. It is valid, but not recommended. Understand? They will ask this question. They will ask this question in the interview. In the delete mapping method, I will write the logic to insert the data. What will happen? If you send the delete request, I will write the logic to insert the record. Is it valid? Will it work or not? It will work. It will work. But recommended or not recommended? You are saying that your method is mapped to delete request, but you are writing the logic to insert the record. People will get confused. People will get confused. Array, method is delete. HTTP delete means to delete a record, but this method is inserting a record. So it is not meaningful. So that's why don't do such kind of confusion for your clients. Whenever you are writing the REST API, what is your method operation? What your method is going to do? Based on that, you map it to the correct HTTP method. If your method is giving the data to the client, then map it to get mapping, get request. If your method is taking the data to insert a record, then take it as a post mapping. If your method is updating the data, then go for put mapping. If your method is deleting the data, then go for delete mapping. Sir, I'm writing a put mapping method, but inside that I'm writing the logic to insert the record. Will it work or not? It will work, but technically not recommended. Because HTTP protocol methods not only for our project. HTTP protocol methods not only for our project. HTTP protocol specific to our project, or it is universal? Guys, HTTP protocol methods are only for our project, or it is universal? It is universal. What is the universal meaning of delete mapping method? What is the meaning of universal delete mapping method? Delete the record, but you are writing the logic to insert the record. So it will confuse your clients when you don't map your REST API methods to correct the HTTP methods. It will confuse your client. It will confuse your client. Got my point? Get, post, put, delete. Get, post, put, delete. Clear? Perfect. So with this, we completed our discussion on REST API part, guys. With this, we completed our discussion on the REST API part. Next, we are going to start with microservices. Next, we are going to start with the microservices. Okay. Yeah. I did not explain what is patch mapping. I will explain what is the patch method, sir. Patch is also used for updating the resources only. But there is a thin line difference between put mapping and patch mapping. I have not covered that yet. I will explain that. What is the difference between put and patch? Okay. Right. Put and patch methods are there. Both are used for updating the resource only. Okay, guys. But technically, you don't see the difference related to put and patch. Okay. So people are asking, what is the difference between put and patch? Guys, generally, put to update complete resource data. For example, my order is available or user is available. User is having ID, name, age, DOB. Okay. Now I want to update complete user data. My method is responsible to update complete user data. So if your resource method is responsible to update complete user data, then we will go for put method. But when there is a patch method to update particular fields in resource. Now here I'm having order data. Okay. In my order, ID available, price available, status is available. Now here, when order is delivered, I want to update only status of the order. When you want to update particular field in the resource, that method will be mapped to patch method. Put, when your method is responsible to update all the fields. Suppose user profile is available. I want to update profile data. I want to update my name, age, my date of birth and all. When you want to update complete profile resource data, that method will be mapped to put mapping. Whenever your method is responsible to update a particular field, order is available, in the order, it should update only status of the order. Then I will go for patch mapping. Patch mapping and put mapping. Put and patch both are used to update the resources only, but put is used to update the complete resource information. Patch is used to update particular fields in the resource. So whenever you are developing a REST API, if your method is updating complete user data, then you will go for put mapping. If your method is updating only few fields in the user record, then you need to map it to the patch mapping. Okay. Put and patch both are used for updating the records. But when to go for put and when to go for patch? When to go for put, when to go for patch, right? So I'm giving a simple example. I'm not saying that user profile will update all the fields. If you have the requirement to update all the fields, then you can go for put. So if you have user data, I want to change all the values. I want to update all the values. So when your method is going to change all the fields, then that method should be mapped to put. When your method is responsible to change a particular field, then you will go for patch. But mostly in the real time, people will be using put method to update the records. Put method will be used to update the records. When you want to do complete record update, then you will go for put. When you want to do partial update, then go for patch. So it depends on which annotation, which method you will use in your REST. Yeah. So they both are used for updating, but a thin line difference is available between the put and patch. Put is used for updating the complete resource data. Patch is used to update particular fields in the resource. Put mapping and patch mapping. So in this REST API, instead of put mapping, I can write the patch mapping also. So whenever you write put mapping, what client will understand? Your method is going to update multiple fields, right? Complete data record will be updated. When you write a patch mapping, your client will understand this method is used to update particular fields. You got it? And one more thing is, in the put mapping, suppose user record is available. User is having name, age, and DOB. So whenever you are sending a put request, you need to send all the values. If you, for example, my user is having name, age, and DOB. If you don't send the DOB in the put request, they will consider the DOB as empty. They will make the DOB as a null value. So that problem will be there. So my user record is having name, age, and DOB. You are sending a put request. In the put request, you need to send your complete record data. So you want to change the DOB. That is fine. You need to send the name. You need to send the age. You need to send the DOB. Then DOB values will be updated. For example, if you don't send age value in the request, age will be considered as 0. So default values will be updated if you don't send the data in the put request. But in the patch request, I'm going to send only status. So what is the meaning of the patch? Patch request coming up with the only status is equal to delivered. Then what they will do? In the resource, in my order, only status will be updated to delivered. This is called partial update. So in the patch request, whatever the data you send, only that data will be updated. In the put request, you need to send all the data. If you don't send any data, for example, I'm not sending age, then age will be considered as a empty. So put is used for updating the complete record. Patch is used to update only few fields in the record. So based on that, you need to write that. Understand the difference between put and patch? Are you guys able to understand what is put and what is patch? Right. Now, guys, next up, I'm going to start with microservices. After microservices completed, then I will explain security. Security also I will explain, but I will explain the security after microservices part is completed. I will explain the security, but after microservices got completed. Is it clear? Okay, good. Fine, guys. So should I start the microservices from tomorrow, or you need 1 or 2 days break for practicing this REST API? Some people asking break, some people asking to start. If you want, I can give 1 day break so that you can revise all the REST API concepts we have discussed. Then I will start with microservices. Yes? Yeah, guys. Fine. So I will not take the class tomorrow. We are done with the REST API today. I will not take the class tomorrow. So please complete your practice on the REST API, whatever we have developed. Okay. So tomorrow we'll take break, and from day after tomorrow, we will start with our microservices. Okay. After microservices is completed, then I will explain security. Good. Yeah. Yeah, guys. Any questions? Anyone? Unmute your mic and speak out.
And AOP is an aspect-oriented programming.
Yeah, AOP. Already, sir, we have implemented exception handling, REST controller advice. That is AOP concept only. I will give the overview on the AOP also.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I will conduct a workshop.
Yes, sir. If possible, could you please implement the JUnit and Mockito with the REST API once?
Unit testing, I will explain, sir. So at the end, once our main topics are completed, then I will go for the tools concept. If you have any urgency, I have already uploaded a video on REST API unit testing with the JUnit and Mockito. You can go through that. At the end of the syllabus, I will show you how to implement that in the live class as well.
Sir, microservices cloud also you are going to explain, right?
Sorry?
Cloud also you are going to explain.
Yes, sir. For to understand the microservices, Spring Cloud concepts, we need to know those also. Spring Cloud and microservices parallelly we will learn.
Mongo.
Hello, sir. So as part of JUnit, can you also explain some how we can write the integration test case?
I will show that, sir. I will explain that. How to write the unit testing, right? How to
integration
write the test cases for test cases. I will explain that.
Because the JUnit and integration is different, no, sir?
Integration is different. I'm going to explain the unit testing, not the integration testing.
Okay, so will it be covered in the real-time project or the integration test case?
Yes, yes, right.
हेलो सर.
Yeah, hi.
या हाय सर, मैं पूछ रही हूँ कि ये पोस्टमैन में आपने 12 ऊपर रखा था ना, जो गेट मैपिंग के लिए, गेट डेटा के लिए 12 आपने डाला था, वो क्यों डाला था सर?
Can you come again?
वो पोस्टमैन में आपने जो ऊपर 12 करके डाला था ना, 12, तो वो क्यों डाला था? एक्चुअली मैंने 2 मंथ से एक्चुअली में लेक्चर अटेंड नहीं कर पाई बिकॉज वी ब्लेस्ड विद बेबी एक्चुअली.
Okay.
तो 2 मंथ से लेक्चर नहीं अटेंड करा मैंने.
Yeah, Lina, you go through videos, you will understand that, right? So you missed 20 classes. So even if I explain, you may not understand that. Please go through the backup videos to get the clarity on that, because so complete REST API you have missed.
एक्चुअली
That
सिर्फ वो पोस्टमैन का आप लिंक दे देंगे क्या सर मेरे को?
हाँ.
आप
Right,
अभी
that is,
क्या
yeah, listen to me. Postman is a tool that we are using to test the REST API. You missed 20 classes, so please go through the backup videos so that you will understand that concept. Okay. So even if I explain now, you can't get that.
Hi, sir.
Sir,
Hi, sir.
Hi.
If possible, could you please upload these programs in Git link, GitHub, or like that, whatever you.
Yeah, I will do that, sir. I don't have any problem in doing that. Then what is
Yeah.
the use of you are attending the classes daily? What are you doing then?
Yeah, we are doing, but if anything miss now from our side, easily.
If anything missed,
mistake.
tell me, Prasad, let me talk. If anything is missed, you just want to copy paste. You don't want to try on
No,
your
no,
own.
no, not like that.
Then
But my
what is
side,
the
not
use
like
of this
that.
code? Then what is the use of this code? I'm doing live coding in the class. I'm explaining
Yes,
each and
yes.
everything. After attending this course, if you are not able to develop this project, then your time is wasted, your money is wasted.
Yes, yes, yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, yes. From my
You
side,
need to
not
try.
like that. Yeah, for
Yeah.
reference purpose,
You
I
need
asked.
to you need to try this on your own. Every day doubts clarifications are happening. We have a group. You need to improve your problem solving skill. If I give my code, you will just copy paste. You will not think to solve your problem. You will become lazy.
Yes.
Okay. You try that. If you face any problem, I am there to help you. And group is also open. You can send the messages in the group. You can take the help of the people. If people are not helping, I will help you to solve your problem. That is how you need to improve your coding skill. If I give my workspace, right, whenever you get a problem, you will open my code and you will copy paste.
Yeah.
There is no use.
Yes.
Sir, this concept is sufficient concept for the real-time project development.
Sorry.
All this concept is sufficient for the real-time project development.
Yes, sir.
Hello,
Sir,
sir.
there is one concept is remaining, sir, log4j.
Log4j is a tool, sir. That is tools part. Okay.
Sir, you have the real-time lectures going on at 9:30, na? So is it anything planned like coming weeks? Like will the real-time will be start in the morning like 7:30 or 7?
For next 45 days, it is not there, sir.
Next 45 days.
Yeah.
Okay, because of the 9:30 time is too awkward, too odd for the work.
Yeah. We'll plan one batch in the evening, but not now. So it is not there now.
Okay.
So because my slots are busy. Once our batch is completed, then I need to start a new batch, either DevOps or project. I'm thinking. So our batch will take another approximately by this month end, our batch will complete microservices, security, and all the part. Once our batch is completed in the same timing, one more batch will come. Whether it is a project or a DevOps, I'm not sure. I'm not yet decided for that.
Please start DevOps.
Okay, my other slots are not available.
Okay, fine.
Start DevOps, sir.
Factory documentation is sufficient for learning.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Sir, in
Hi, sir.
STS, if you want to get a JSP auction, what do we need to do, sir?
In the STS, you need to install Eclipse web tools.
Web
Web tools, you need to Eclipse Marketplace, install web tools. Or else you go with Spring Tool Suite 3.9. In that JSP support is there. In the Spring Tool Suite 4.x, JSP support is not there.
For that, what do we need to, sir? Marketplace, we need to install.
Install Eclipse web tools. Install that.
Okay, sir.
I think JSTL adapter, sir.
Sorry?
JSTL adapter plugin is required in STS to develop JSP pages.
You can add that.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, sir. Sir, it is possible to show how the payment gateway works for the REST API. Means how the payment gateway. Hello.
Yes,
Hello?
I can hear you.
How the payment
can hear
gateway using the REST API?
Yeah, I will conduct one workshop on the payment gateway integration. Okay. At the end of the course, I will do that.
Okay.
First, let me complete the topics which I have mentioned in the syllabus document.
Okay.
Hello, sir. We are going to cover any mini project here?
Yes, sir. In the microservices, we will cover the mini project. First, we need to complete our microservices. In that, we will cover the mini project. Okay. Yeah, fine, guys. Any questions, anyone?
Sorry,
Is
this chat
ATOs
says
is only for Spring Data REST or common for other non-Spring Data REST?
Can you come again? Can you come again?
Is ATOs is only related to Spring Data REST design, that
No,
architecture?
today application is not Spring Data REST, right? It is a normal REST application. Today I am not using data REST. I use a normal REST API, right?
Yeah,
In the normal REST API also we are able to implement Hetios. So Hetios is for the REST API. Whether it is a normal REST API or whether it is a Spring Data REST, that doesn't matter. Hetios is a REST principle.
Okay,
patch
sir. And the
mapping
patch
is
also will be
separate.
fast, right? When compared to put.
Yes,
With
right.
respect
Put is going to
performance, it will be
update
fast.
all the fields. Performance-wise, patch is faster because patch is used to update only that particular resource field, not all the fields.
The patch not supporting all the data for updating. Patch mapping.
It is not the universal standard. As I told you, in the delete mapping method, you can write the logic to insert the record. It will work, but that is not the universal standard.
Okay, not recommended. Because
Not recommended. In the patch method, you can write the logic to insert the record. You can write the logic to delete the record also, but that is not the universal meaning of HTTP patch method. So what is the so in your project, if you don't follow the standard, right? So what about your clients? Your clients will understand get means retrieval, put means update, delete means delete, post means insertion. If you don't follow that standard, your client will get confused.
sorry, heteros. For suppose you showed me showed only particular method, you are given the get request. In that one response showing link, right? In only showing what is the importance, but only showing that method only, right?
That's it.
But
if you want to add another method link also, you can add it. There is another method called add method on. Which method you want to add, you can add that method.
okay, it is possible. It is there.
Yes.
Other method.
I have called user.add. You need to call user.add multiple times if you want to add multiple links. On which methods you want to add the links, those methods you need to specify in that line.
Separated with comma, sir? Other
No, separate lines completely. A new line. User.add. Again, user.add.
Okay.
Hello, sir. In AWS cloud, the provider application is still running or not? Actually, we have to practice the different.
I gave 5 days of time, then I have stopped it. You did.
Okay.
I told that multiple times. I will give 2 days access, but actually I have given 4 days access. I have stopped that machine. It will not be accessible now. You create that application in your local and you use the local URL. You can't access my URL now. I have deleted that machine.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sir, if the client side is given the documentation of the entire URLs, then why are we using the Hetios concept? Because the client is using that link itself in the request.
No. Hetios concept is used to promote our resources to access to send more requests to our application. Now, when you watch a YouTube video, what the YouTube will do? It will push the other videos to watch, right? Once your video is completed, automatically next video will play. So that is the marketing strategy. Similarly, in the Hetios, instead of sending the complete data in the response, we will send some information. For the related information, they need to send one more request with the given URL. That is how we are going to build the REST APIs.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, hi, sir.
Hi, sir.
When you will start for AWS batch?
AWS batch will start morning 7:30. I will update the timing, sir. It is not yet decided. I will update in the group. You will get the notifications in the group.
After this batch, can you please start AWS, sir, in this course?
Sure, sir. We'll plan that. We'll update. So till another 25 days time is there to complete our syllabus first. Then
Hello, sir. Hello.
Guys, any questions related to REST API, please ask those.
Sir, in real time, where we use Hetios, sir?
In every API, we can use Hetios if you want to send the hyperlinks to your clients in the response.
Okay.
How Google is sending the response to you when you search something? Hypermedia format only, right? In the Google, whenever you search for something, is it giving complete response or it is giving only hyperlinks to click on that? Hyperlinks only.
Hyperlinks only.
Yeah, that is
Hyperlinks, sir.
Google response is based on the HETUS concept only. Okay, fine, guys. Good. Thank you. With this, I'm stopping for today. Tomorrow, we don't have a class. Tomorrow is a break to revise all the concepts on the REST API. From day after tomorrow, we are going to start our microservices. Okay? Thank you, guys. We'll see you on day after tomorrow. Bye-bye. Good night.